Let me ask you something. What if the only thing standing between you and the wealth you dream about is your attention? Not your job, not your background, not your economy, your attention. Most people are out here chasing shiny objects, hoping for a lucky break, constantly distracted by noise, yet wondering why they never create real, lasting wealth. But wealth isn't random. It's not reserved for the lucky few. It's the result of deliberate, focused attention applied over time. Because here's the truth. Your life is shaped by what you consistently focus on. Where focus goes, energy flows, and results show. If you want to build real wealth, not just money, but financial freedom, abundance, peace, then you need to learn how to harness the single most powerful force you own, your focused attention. This isn't about working, it's about becoming sharper, clearer, and more intentional than 99% of people out there. And today we're going to break it all down. We're going to train your mind, your habits, and your vision to lock in like a laser on what really matters. Because once your focus aligns with your purpose, wealth becomes inevitable. Let's go. Most people live their entire lives wanting wealth, but never defining what that actually means to them. And here's the kicker. If you don't know what you're aiming for, how can you possibly hit the target? Clarity is power. It's the foundation. Without clarity, you wander, you drift, you react to life instead of creating it. When it comes to building wealth, you've got to stop throwing darts in the dark and start laser focusing your attention on exactly what it is you want financially, how much, by when, and why. Not just some vague idea of being rich or having a lot of money, but a vivid, compelling, emotionally charged vision of what wealth looks and feels like for you. Think about it. Your mind is like a GPS system. If you don't plug in a specific destination, it can't guide you. You just keep driving in circles, burning fuel, wasting time. But the moment you give it a clear destination, it recalculates, finds the fastest route, and keeps you on track, even if you make a wrong turn. Your attention is no different. Focused attention works the same way. The moment you define wealth in terms that are specific, measurable, and personally meaningful, your brain goes to work. It begins scanning your environment for opportunities. It starts attracting the people, the strategies, the tools, and the insights you need. That's not magic. That's the reticular activating system at work. It's the part of your brain that filters out the noise and brings to your awareness what you've told it matters most. But most people never activate that system with intention. They don't give their attention a target. They say things like, I want more money. Okay, here's $1. Now you have more money? Is that what you meant? Of course not. But that's how vague most people are. Wealth doesn't respond to generalities. It responds to precision. So if you're serious about building wealth, the first thing you've got to do is define it. Get specific. How much money do you want in your bank account a year from now? 5 years from now? What does financial freedom mean to you? Is it passive income, covering all your expenses? Is it having a certain net worth? Is it being able to travel, invest, donate, build? What are the emotions you want wealth to give you? Freedom, security, joy, contribution. Because money's never the end goal, it's a tool to access a feeling, a lifestyle, a sense of control. And when you know exactly what that looks like, your focus becomes unshakable. Now, let's talk about the power of vision. If your vision isn't clear, your focus will scatter. You'll be seduced by distractions, by short-term gratification, by every shiny opportunity that promises quick money but pulls you off course. You'll spend your days reacting instead of creating. But the moment your vision becomes crystal clear, you begin filtering your decisions through it. Every choice becomes simpler. Does this investment bring me closer to my vision of wealth or not? Does this habit align with my financial goals or not? That clarity becomes your compass. You've got to write your vision down. Not someday, not when you feel ready, now. Take out a pen and paper and describe your ideal financial life in detail. What do you earn each month? What's your lifestyle like? Where do you live? How much are you saving, investing, giving? Get emotionally connected to it. Don't just think numbers. Think feelings. How does it feel to be debt-free? How does it feel to wake up knowing you never have to trade time for money again? That emotional intensity is what turns your vision into it draws you in, it fuels your focus, because the mind will always follow what the heart is emotionally committed to. Clarity also gives you resilience. When the journey gets tough, and it will, your clear vision keeps you going. Most people give up not because they lack talent, but because they lack vision. They forget why they started. But if your attention is fixed on a vivid, meaningful outcome, obstacles become detours, not dead ends. You find another way, you pivot, you adapt, you persist. And here's something most people miss. Clarity is not a one-time event, it's a habit. You don't just write your vision once and forget it. You revisit it, you refine it, you look at it daily, you breathe it in, it becomes your mental home base. Every morning you prime your focus with it. Every night you review your progress toward it. That's how you train your brain to stay aligned with wealth. So if you want to build wealth with the power of focused attention, it starts here with clarity. Not just knowing what you don't want, like debt, stress, financial struggle, but defining in rich detail what you do want. Because the moment your focus finds a purpose, a target, a mission, everything starts to change. Your actions shift, your energy rises, your results compound. Clarity creates momentum, and momentum, when driven by focused attention, becomes unstoppable. That's how wealth begins. Not with chance, but with choice. Not with luck, but with laser focus. And it all starts with you getting crystal clear on what you focus on expands. It's one of the most powerful truths in life, yet most people overlook it every single day. If you keep focusing on what's missing, you get more lack. If you obsess over your limitations, they multiply. But if you train yourself to focus on opportunities, growth, and abundance, that becomes your reality. It's not just a mindset thing. It's a way of conditioning your entire nervous system to align with outcomes that build your wealth instead of draining it. Focus isn't just a mental exercise. It's an energy, a force that shapes your emotions, your decisions, and ultimately your destiny. Let's break this down. Your brain is bombarded with millions of bits of information every single second. You can't possibly process it all. So what happens? Your mind deletes, distorts, and generalizes based on what you consistently focus on. It's like a filter. And whatever you focus on most often becomes the criteria that filter runs on. So if you focus on scarcity, bills piling up, debt, fear of failure, that filter brings you more of that. It shows you everything that's going wrong, every risk, every reason why things won't work. It's like tuning a radio to a station that only plays negative, disempowering music. That becomes the soundtrack of your life. But here's the breakthrough. You can change the channel. You can train your brain to look for solutions, to find opportunities, to see patterns that create wealth instead of destroy it. It starts with asking better questions, because questions control your focus. If you constantly ask, why can't I get ahead? Your brain will feed you reasons why you're stuck. But if you ask, how can I create more income this month? Or what's one asset I can invest in that aligns with my goals? Your brain starts searching for answers, strategies, and connections. And over time, those answers stack up. They turn into habits, and habits turn into wealth. Let me give an example. Two people can look at the exact same economy, the same market conditions, and see two completely different realities. One sees doom and gloom, inflation, job losses, uncertainty. The other sees opportunity, undervalued assets, innovation, new ways to serve, gaps in the market. What's the difference? Focus. One person is focused on fear, and fear paralyzes. The other is focused on value, and value creation is the core of wealth. It's not that the circumstances are different. It's that their perception is shaped by what they've trained their mind to focus on. This is why wealth doesn't start in your bank account. It starts in your attention. When you become obsessed with adding value, not just to yourself, but to others, your focus shifts from survival to service. And service is where wealth is born. Every dollar you've ever earned came from solving a problem or meeting a need. The more you focus on how to do that on a larger scale, with more precision and more heart, the more wealth you attract. Now, that doesn't mean you ignore reality. It means you choose how to interpret it and what to do with it. If you get hit with a setback, a failed investment, a business deal gone wrong, an unexpected expense, your focus determines your next move. If you focus on the pain, you'll hesitate, withdraw, maybe give up. But if you focus on the lesson, the feedback, the seed of opportunity hidden in the loss, then that setback becomes fuel. It sharpens you. It builds your financial intelligence. It strengthens your resolve. And here's something most people never realize. Wealth is emotional. If your emotions are out of control, your decisions will be too. Focus is how you regulate those emotions. When things get stressful, most people spiral because they focus on everything that's wrong, everything they can't control. But when you shift your focus to what you can control, your state, your energy, your strategy, you take your power back, you move from victim to creator. And creators build wealth. This isn't theory. It's how the most successful people in the world operate. They focus obsessively on outcomes, not obstacles. They focus on the long game, not instant gratification. They know that whatever they feed their attention grows, so they feed it wisely. They guard their focus like gold, because it is. They don't allow energy vampires, negativity, or distractions to rent space in their mind. They protect their mental bandwidth because they know wealth is built by what you give your attention to every day. So the question is, what are you focusing on? Are you focusing on what you lack or what you can create? Are you focusing on problems or possibilities? Are you feeding your attention to fear or to strategy? Because whatever it is, that's what's expanding in your life. Your attention is a multiplier. It amplifies whatever it touches. So if you want to build real lasting wealth, you have to focus not just harder, but smarter. You have to become intentional about what gets your attention and what doesn't. You have to train your mind to see patterns that others miss, to find leverage in every situation, to stay centered when others are panicking. Because wealth doesn't come to the frantic, the scattered, or the reactive. It comes to the focused. The discipline, the intentional, the ones who understand that attention is currency, and when you invest it wisely, the returns are exponential. We live in a world that's constantly screaming for our attention. Everywhere you turn, something is fighting for a piece of your focus. Your phone, your inbox, social media, texts, news alerts, advertisements, and everyone else's expectation. It's nonstop. And if you're not intentional, if you're not ruthless about what you allow into your mental space, you'll wake up months or even years from now wondering why you're stuck, why your financial life hasn't moved forward, why you're always reacting instead of creating. The truth is simple but powerful. You cannot build wealth if your attention is scattered. Focused attention is a limited resource. And if you waste it on distractions, you forfeit your chance at wealth demands that you eliminate the noise. Now let's be real, distraction isn't always obvious. It doesn't always come in the form of social media or endless scrolling, though those are certainly culprits. Sometimes distraction looks like busyness. It looks like working on the wrong things. It looks like constantly switching tasks, starting projects and never finishing them, saying yes to things that don't align with your vision. Every time you say yes to something that doesn't move you toward your financial goals, you're saying no to something that does. That's the hidden cost of distraction. It doesn't just steal your time, it steals your future. Wealth isn't built by people who do more things. It's built by people who do the right things, repeatedly, obsessively, with intensity and clarity. That's what focused attention looks like in action. It's not about being busy, it's about being intentional. Most people confuse motion with progress. They're constantly moving but going nowhere. They're checking things off a list that doesn't even lead to the life they want. But if you want to build wealth, you've got to get brutally honest about what actually matters and what doesn't. You've got to identify your highest leverage activities, the things that produce income, multiply value, create assets, and protect them with everything you've got. One of the greatest skills you can develop on the path to wealth is the ability to say no. Say no to distractions, to obligations that don't serve you, to relationships that clutters your mind. Every no is a yes to your focus. Every no creates space for deep work, for clarity, for strategic thinking. When you eliminate what's unnecessary, what's essential becomes obvious. And that's when your attention becomes a weapon, sharp, precise, powerful. Think about how much time people spend consuming instead of creating. They consume news, consume opinions, consume drama, consume noise, all under the illusion of staying informed or connected. But consumption without creation is a trap. It floods your brain with other people's priorities and robs you of your own. If you want to create wealth, you have to flip the script. You have to become a producer, not just a consumer. That means producing value, producing assets, producing solutions, producing clarity. And to do that, you need uninterrupted focus. The kind of focus that comes from cutting out the mental clutter. And let's go even deeper. One of the most dangerous distractions is comparison. Scrolling through social media, looking at what everyone else is doing, wondering why you're not further ahead. That's mental poison. It hijacks your focus and replaces your internal compass with someone else's story. You start chasing goals that aren't even yours. You lose touch with your own vision. And when you do that, you disconnect from the one thing that can truly build your wealth, your unique ability to execute on what matters to you. Focused attention isn't just about shutting out the world. It's about tuning into your own direction with such intensity that nothing can pull you off track. This is where boundaries come into play. If you don't set boundaries around your time, your energy, and your attention, the world will do it for you. And guess what? The world has no interest in you becoming wealthy. It wants you entertained, distracted, reactive. So you've got to build systems that protect your focus. That means creating environments that support deep work, turning off notifications, scheduling distraction-free blocks of time, surrounding yourself with people who respect your mission. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. If your environment is chaotic, your results will be too. And don't forget the mental environment. You've got to eliminate internal noise just as much as external. That voice in your head that says, you're not ready, you don't know enough, what if you fail? That's just another distraction in disguise. Doubt is a thief of focus. The more you entertain it, the less energy you have for execution. So you train your mind, you feed it with clarity, with certainty, with repetition of empowering beliefs. You remind yourself daily of your vision, your goals, your why. That becomes your inner soundtrack. That becomes your truth. So understand this. Wealth is not about doing more. It's about doing less, but doing it better, with more intensity, with more presence, with more consistency. And that only happens when you eliminate what doesn't matter. When you declutter your mind, your calendar, your life, when you stop chasing everything and start focusing on the one thing that moves the needle, eliminate the noise, and what remains is power. Power to create, power to build, power to focus your attention like a laser and direct it toward the outcomes that will transform your financial future. Because once your attention is free from distraction, wealth is no longer just possible, it becomes inevitable. Building wealth is not a one-time event. It's not a lottery ticket. It's not a big break. It's not a sudden windfall. It's a process, a long, often unglamorous process that demands consistency, discipline, and above all, sustained attention. Most people start strong. They read a book, get inspired by a seminar, make a few bold decisions, and for a while, they're on fire. But then what happens? Life shows up, distractions creep in, challenges pile up, their focus fades, and they slowly drift back into old patterns. That's the death of momentum. And without momentum, wealth cannot grow. What separates those who build lasting financial success from those who just talk about it is the ability to sustain focused attention over the long term. Sustained attention means showing up, even when it's boring, even when it's hard, even when the results aren't showing up yet. It means staying committed to your vision even when the world around you seems to be pulling you in every direction. That's where real wealth is forged, in the space between the initial excitement and the final result. Anyone can focus for a week. Anyone can grind for a month. But wealth belongs to those who stay locked in for years, who stay loyal to the process, even when it tests their patience. Consistency is what turns small actions into massive results. It's not about making one big move. It's about making thousands of small moves in the same direction. The problem is our brains crave novelty. They crave variety. That's why most people jump from one financial strategy to another, from crypto to stocks to real estate to side hustles, hoping to hit gold. But if your attention is constantly shifting, you're never giving any one strategy the time it needs to grow. You're planting seeds and digging them up before they've had a chance to take root. Wealth doesn't work that way. Wealth rewards depth, not just speed. It rewards mastery, not dabbling. And mastery requires sustained focus. You've got to fall in love with the process. That means tracking your income, your expenses, your investments, not just when it's exciting, but when it's repetitive. That means revisiting your financial goals, adjusting your strategy, learning from your failures. And that means blocking out time every week, every day if needed, to think, plan, and take intentional action toward your wealth goals. It's not about waiting for motivation. It's about building rituals that anchor your attention and keep you moving forward no matter how you feel. Feelings are fleeting, discipline is permanent. You have to understand that wealth is a game of compound interest, not just in your money, but in your focus and in your focus. Every day that you stay focused, every decision you make that aligns with your financial vision adds up. It compounds. At first, the progress might feel slow. It might feel invisible. But just like with investing, the magic isn't in the first few months. It's in the long haul. It's when the compounding kicks in, when the small decisions you've made over time start to snowball into massive impact. But that only happens if you keep your attention fixed on your goals, if you stay in the game long enough to see the results. Let's talk about habits for a moment. Your habits are where your attention lives. Whatever you do consistently is what you are focusing on. So if your habits are weak, your focus is scattered, but if your habits are powerful, your focus becomes a force. Building wealth isn't about occasional inspiration. It's about daily It's about setting automatic transfers into your investment accounts, reviewing your finances every week, learning something new about money management every month. It's about creating systems that reinforce your focus, so even when your willpower fades, your environment carries you forward. And here's the truth. You're either creating momentum or losing it. There's no standing still. Every day that you delay, procrastinate, or allow your attention to drift away from your financial goals, you lose ground. But every day that you refocus, even if it's just a little, you build momentum. And momentum is the silent engine behind all success. Once it kicks in, it makes things easier, it builds confidence, it attracts more opportunities, but momentum doesn't show up on its own. It's earned through relentless focus, through choosing every day to put your energy where your future lives. There will be seasons when it feels like nothing's working, times when your income stalls, your investments dip, your plans fall apart, and it's in those moments that sustained attention becomes your greatest asset. Because the ones who build wealth don't panic, they refocus. They don't quit, they realign. They don't wait for things to get easier, they get stronger. They lean back into their process. They double down on what works. They trust the path they've chosen because they know that real wealth isn't built in a sprint, it's built in the marathon. So if you're serious about building wealth, don't just get focused, stay focused. Don't just chase momentum, create it. Keep your attention locked on your goals long after the excitement has faded, long after others have given up, because the rewards of sustained attention are exponential. And when your focus becomes unbreakable, your results become unstoppable. Wealth responds to persistence. Wealth honors consistency. Wealth rewards the one who stays focused long after everyone else got distracted. Wealth creation is not only about what you do, it's about how you think. It's about training your brain to operate from a different set of patterns than the ones you were conditioned to believe. At the center of it all is the way you make decisions. And every decision is a result of what you're paying attention to. If your focus is scattered, reactive, or driven by fear, your decisions will mirror that. But if your focus is intentional, disciplined, and centered on long-term value, then the choices you make will lead to growth, expansion, and ultimately wealth. The power of decision is one of the most underappreciated tools on the path to financial freedom. In every moment, you are deciding where to place your attention. And that decision determines your next action. If you're focused on problems, you'll decide to avoid. If you're focused on opportunity, you'll move forward. It's that subtle. The direction of your attention is shaping the trajectory of your life. So what happens when you harness that power and make it work for you instead of against you? You begin to make high leverage decisions that build wealth over time. Decisions that are proactive instead of reactive, strategic instead of emotional. Most people make decisions based on what's urgent, not what's important. They react to life, bills, emails, other people's demands, instead of stepping back and asking what decisions today will move me closer to the financial life I desire tomorrow. That shift alone changes everything, because when your attention is locked onto your vision instead of your circumstances, your decisions start to align with the future, not the past. You begin to say no to short-term pleasures in favor of long-term rewards. You stop chasing the next shiny thing and start investing in what actually compounds over time. But to do this, you must become aware of what's influencing your focus. Your environment, your peer group, your habits, your emotions, all of these shape what you pay attention to. And that in turn shapes your decisions. If you're constantly surrounded by scarcity thinking, your focus narrows. You start thinking small, playing not to lose instead of playing to win. But if you intentionally surround yourself with people who think big, who talk about assets, investments, scalability, and impact, your attention shifts. You start looking for opportunities where you used to see obstacles. You start making decisions that reflect belief in possibility, not fear of failure. This is why your focus must be trained daily. It's like a muscle. The more you work it, the stronger it gets. And the stronger it gets, the better your decisions become. It's about discipline, not the kind that restricts you, but the kind that liberates you. Because once you're free from distraction, emotion-driven choices, and outside noise, you can finally make decisions based on what truly matters. That clarity becomes your edge. And in the world of wealth creation, clarity is power. Think about how wealthy people think. They don't just ask, can I afford this? They ask, is this the best use of my capital? They don't just chase income. They think about leverage, equity, long-term growth. They're constantly filtering their decisions through the lens of return on attention. Not just return on investment, return on attention. Where can they place their focus to get the greatest possible outcome? Which relationships, ventures, or projects deserve their bandwidth? That kind of thinking doesn't come from chance. It comes from a decision to focus on the few things that make the biggest difference. Now let's be real. Making high-quality decisions is not always easy. Sometimes it requires going against the grain. It means saying no to distractions that feel good in the moment but rob you of momentum. It means enduring discomfort, resisting impulse, and choosing what aligns with your values rather than what satisfies your emotion. That's the battle. And the battlefield is your attention. If your focus wavers, your decisions weaken. But if your focus sharpens, your decision-making becomes a superpower. Every great financial transformation starts with a decision to stop tolerating the status quo, a decision to educate yourself, a decision to change your habits, a decision to invest rather than spend, to build rather than consume. But the real shift happens when you make those decisions over and over again, consistently, with intention, and with your full attention aligned with the future you're committed to creating. And that commitment is what sustains you when results don't come overnight. Because they won't. Building wealth takes time. There are no shortcuts, but there are strategies. There are patterns. And those patterns become clear when you train your mind to focus. Focus on what you can control. Focus on what creates value. Focus on the long-term game instead of the short-term payoff. Focus on becoming the kind of person who doesn't just make money, but who understands how to keep it, grow it, and use it to create something meaningful. So the next time you face a decision, whether it's what to spend your time on, where to put your money, who to partner with, or even what to learn next, pause. Ask yourself, where is my focus right now? Is it rooted in fear or faith? Is it aligned with my vision or just reacting to pressure? Because the quality of your life and your wealth will reflect the quality of your decisions. And the quality of your decisions will always follow the quality of your focus. Train it, guard it, master it. Because wealth is not just the result of hard work. It's the result of focused, intelligent, intentional decision-making, repeated over time. Wealth is not just about making more money. It's about becoming the kind of person who can handle, manage, and grow that money with clarity, vision, and discipline. And that kind of transformation only happens when your mind evolves. When you commit to growing mentally, emotionally, and strategically, your external results start to mirror your internal growth. That's where focused attention becomes your most powerful ally. Because personal growth doesn't happen by accident. It happens through deliberate focus. You grow in the direction you consistently pay attention to. Most people never become wealthy, not because they lack intelligence or opportunity, but because they never develop the mindset required to sustain wealth. They might get lucky once, they might have a spike in income, they might inherit something, but if their mind hasn't evolved to match the new level, they'll lose it. This is why you see people win the lottery and go broke within years, why professional athletes retire and end up bankrupt. They got the money, but they never upgraded the operating system running the show. Your mind is the thermostat of your wealth. If it's set too low, you'll unconsciously sabotage your results until they match what you believe you deserve. So the question becomes, how do you raise the setting of that internal thermostat? You do it through focused intentional growth. You do it by consistently putting your attention on ideas, information, and experiences that stretch your thinking and challenge your limits. You study wealth. You study psychology. You study leadership. You study the habits of successful people and you apply what you learn. You immerse yourself in environments where higher standards are normal. You read the books. You attend the seminars. You surround yourself with mentors because you understand that every ounce of attention you place on personal development is an investment in your future. And here's what's powerful. When you focus on becoming more, you naturally start attracting more. You don't have to force results. They flow from who you're becoming. That's the real secret of sustainable wealth. It's not just about external effort, it's about internal transformation. When your identity shifts, your behaviors follow. When you start seeing yourself as someone who is responsible, disciplined, capable of building and sustaining wealth, your decisions begin to align with that image. But that identity shift doesn't happen randomly. It's built over time by repeatedly focusing your attention on growth, reflection. Now, let's talk about how easy it is to lose that focus. We live in a world of distractions, and one of the biggest is the addiction to entertainment. Most people spend more time escaping their lives than building them. They binge watch, scroll endlessly, get lost in drama, because growth is uncomfortable and distraction is easy. But the cost of that distraction is your potential. Every moment you spend numbing yourself is a moment you could be using to sharpen your mind, build your strategy, refine your vision. You can't grow if your focus is scattered. You can't evolve if your attention is hijacked by nonsense. Focused attention on growth means you treat your time like it's sacred. It means you design your days around learning, thinking, creating, not reacting. It means you deliberately protect space for solitude, for journaling, for planning. That's not a luxury. That's a requirement for transformation. Because the truth is, wealth follows awareness. The more aware you become of your patterns, your beliefs, your triggers, the more you can shift them. But you can't change what you don't see, and you won't see anything clearly if your attention is always consumed by the noise of the world. When you make growth your obsession, your life changes, not overnight, but over time. You start to notice how your thoughts influence your emotions, how your emotions drive your behavior, how your behavior creates your outcomes. You start to take ownership instead of making excuses. You stop blaming the economy, the government, your past. You realize that your future is being shaped by what you choose to focus on every single day. That's a powerful place to live from. That's where true freedom begins. And don't misunderstand. This is not about perfection. You'll get distracted, you'll mess up, you'll fall into old patterns. But the difference is that when you've trained your attention to return to growth, you don't stay down. You catch yourself faster. You realign quicker. You don't spiral. You reset. That's the power of a focused mind. It doesn't eliminate struggle, but it transforms how you respond to it. And your response determines your results. Wealth is the byproduct of who you become, and who you become is the byproduct of what you consistently focus on. So if you want to create extraordinary financial results, don't just focus on money. Focus on mastery. Focus on becoming more capable, more aware, more resourceful. Build your capacity, expand your vision, sharpen your skills, and do it every single day. Because your future is not something you stumble into. It's something you build with the raw material of attention. Wherever your focus goes, energy flows. And where energy flows, results grow. The question is, are you willing to direct your focus toward becoming the version of you that is capable of handling the wealth you desire? Are you willing to make growth non-negotiable, to turn your attention away from distraction and toward evolution? Because if you are, the results will take care of themselves. When you grow, everything grows. Your income, your influence, your confidence, your freedom. Focused attention on personal growth is not just a path to wealth. It is the foundation of it. Without it, nothing lasts. With it, everything becomes possible.